one of the things I like as streamers. It's not just that channel. It is us together because we can't just be a streamer by ourselves. Like we can just make content and on Twitch and nobody listens. And what's the point of Twitch? Twitch is a community. Want to create content? Just go to YouTube because then you can just be like making content every day. But Twitch is more personal and being able to talk to people and be like a ear to ear.
Control Alt Redeem is for anyone called to ministry in the digital frontier. Gamers, streamers, and everyday believers navigating life online. Each episode equips you to live on mission and the real stories of lives being changed. Reset your expectations, reframe your mission, and redeem the space you're already in. This is where digital ministry gets practical, creative, grounded, and hopeful. One episode at a time.
So
Hey, everybody. Welcome into Control Alt Redeem, resetting the culture and redeeming the space. And Zaphenath is a guest today on the podcast. So good to have you here, Zaphenath.
yeah, good to be here.
We met at Reach Conference, which was a whole lot of fun to hang out, and I did love the cosplay that you were pulling off there. That was nice.
Oh, I threw that together. Just actually, I love how the suit turned out. It's like I just bought like a $50 suit. I think it was on Amazon or something, and just had like sent it to a tailor to put on the gold brim, and it was great. I wasn't too happy with the wig. I'm getting a new wig this year
Okay.
because it was like a cheap wig I could find, but everything else went together perfectly.
Yeah, it's fun to get to know people in different avenues and connections and those things. So that was a different one to meet someone in person first and then meet them as a streamer afterwards. But it's been great getting to know you, and I love seeing what you're doing in the Twitch space.
Yeah, and it's been for only being a streamer for a year. It's been a wild ride, and God has brought a lot of opportunities and friends along the way. It's been crazy.
So you've only been streaming for a year. How did you get connected and started with Twitch? Like, were you watching games, and so that's what brought you in? Were you playing games, and you're like, what was your initial connection to Twitch?
I've been watching Twitch for years. There's been many different streamers I watch. I think my first streamer I started watching was, if anyone's familiar with Markiplier and one of his friends, Lord Minion 777. He's not a Christian, but it's just like they're just like the OGs from YouTube and stuff. So it's like I kind of started with YouTube, saw they were streaming on Twitch, doing like live streams and podcasts, and then I like knew a little bit about it. If we want to go into how I started streaming, if that would be the next
That
question.
would be the next question. So
Yeah, I started stream. To be honest, I kind of was yeeted into this. I had like the go stream after like after like some year. Like I had like a bit of like I talk about this a little bit on my channel. I had like a bit of a 5 years of kind of figuring out what my what to do with my life after like some life changes happened because I was originally studying to be an engineer for like in college and life. I was first trying to be like trying out different engineering paths. Then I went to college, and then after college, I kind of was burnt out, felt like a failure because of things weren't going right, and kind of spent like 5 years kind of soul searching, like talking to like a spiritual advisor, I call them, who helped me work through some past things that were kind of holding back, past traumas, and I eventually like got into like AI and like looking into streaming actually 2 years prior to that, but I was like looking to other things like entrepreneurial things, like trying to create like journals and what was the other thing? Doing DoorDash for a bit, see like how that worked, and then God just like said, all these things. Go learn how to set up OBS, start streaming, build yourself a little avatar. This actually was an avatar I made through AI. This is This was I basically used a AI called HomeView AI that is like a modular system that you basically can program yourself to generate the image you want. I did
Okay.
that, used it as a base, then dropped stuff into Curta to just do some fine detail work, and that then made it be able to open, close the mouth, and learned how to do OBS and do sound settings, and I am now here.
So yeah, it's like you said that God was kind of like you're evaluating like what you've been doing, and it's like, oh, go do VTuber. Why VTuber? What was the pull in the direction of being VTuber versus any other way that you could be doing things on Twitch?
I think it's because of like just having it like I don't know. I don't know if it was just me like just comfort level or just being like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to be a VTuber and have like a cool looking avatar that has like the aesthetics of different things I like. Like the wings are angels, the starry skin is based off of a character from Dragon Prince Erebos because it's like starred at elf and it's like and kind of just like I was going through like what should I do as a streamer and it's like one of the things that reminded me, I it was Joseph. He was the king people refer to him as the king of dreams, and I was, like, thinking, what would be a cool name for Twitch streaming? Zaphenath Paneah, which is, like, some translations, because he was interpreting dreams for the Pharaoh gave him that name because he was interpreting for God, and it's like speaking to like the speaker of God or something like some of the translations that is. And I was like, that'd be kind of cool to do like a whole dream being situation. And like the whole thing of being a VTuber was just being placed on my heart. To just be like, I want to be like the whole reason why I started being a streamer was I was seeing a lot of negative things on the internet, like Twitter and stuff like that. And I'm like seeing like, we need more positive voices for like as Christians and for just in general because there's too much negative out there. I was like, dreams are like a way to be like, hey, be positive. Try like don't let your circumstances like hold you back. It's like God gives you the strength because he places like dreams and like inspirations on our heart and like just pursue that. Because like the whole persona of dreams is like God is the giver of dreams.
Yeah, that's really
It's like,
cool to bring that aspect into there. And I bet there are very, very few people that know Zaphenath Paneah is the name for Joseph. We might know Belshazzar and Daniel, but I bet you get very few people that come in and go, "Hey, Joe, how's it going?"
it, it, it is, I've had to explain it to several people I've rated into. I've had to explain it to like explain it like, oh, it's the name Pharaoh gave. It's not the translation. It is basically it's a title if you think about it. It's like it's a new name, say like giving Joseph the authority to be the second in command of Egypt. As like I've had to explain it. It's like it's from 41, and then I've had people DM me. It's like, so this is where your name comes from.
Yeah, I bet there is that level of people that just kind of, oh, wait, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I I did not I like I I'm horrible with spelling, so I think when I heard it to begin with, I was thinking Zeph, Zef, or Zeph, not Zaph. And like the thing is with Hebrew though, like the vowel points can disappear, the vowels can change, all of those
Hmm.
kinds of things, which it's like so I wasn't technically that far off, but I did not remember the fullness of Joseph's names either. So it wasn't even one of those that like, hey, I knew it and I was trying to show off or anything. I was like, no, wait a minute. Oh, you mean you picked a biblical name and you're doing this intentionally as a VTuber with a biblical name that is going to go right over the people's heads. And the connection of Joseph as a dreamer, I was connecting more with Joseph as the one who was being put in charge of administering the rescue of the people. He's the
Hmm.
deliverer. I wasn't thinking of him being from the standpoint of being the dream interpreter. But given your background that you have with your character, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Also, people seem to say like if Neil pops and you might agree with it, but I've had people say also bring people together, like introduce people and be like, hey, this guy likes this thing. Hey, this guy likes this thing. Why don't you guys collab together? It's like it it's it's kind of both. Just like the other side is just like more behind the scenes when getting to know people.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The things that attract people together in different groups to be able to be
hmm
connected. So, there's plenty of those places. So one is VTubers. When we were at Reach Conference, you guys were all hanging out. A lot of you knew each other already. You were being connected, doing additional things that were going on. And it was like, I don't know what you guys are off doing, but it was pretty cool to be able to see that connection of people who had similar interests, were doing similar things, and then just being able to have a blessing and bless one another as you were doing it.
yeah. Actually something I learned about Reach last year was the year before there was only like a handful, and this year was like the biggest boom of VTubers. I think it's because a lot of people were getting into VTubing last year, and now we have a lot of VTubers, and yeah, it is a kind of in a way its own community, just like because there's like various different ways we've connected with each others. Like if you take Celestium for example, she created a server on Discord called C4. Now it's not the explosive, it's Christian content or Christian content creator. I'm forgetting one of the C's, but Christian content creator community. And to be honest, a lot of it's for everyone, but it's like the majority is VTubers. So hi, Chris. Welcome in. And it's a big community. That's one of the jumping points where we got to know a lot of different people. Like one of the people who I got to know, which he unfortunately has retired, which is Nerd Trump. He was at Comp Reach last year too, and he basically, I will say this, God kind of placed him in my life to be like a gateway to be able to meet all these wonderful, cool people. I probably on my own, it's like I'm like I was like when I was first starting streaming, I was like on my own, didn't know anyone, just streaming a lot of Minecraft, playing with my friends, and like just got to know Zerg, and it's like, yeah, I will always say he was my gateway to the VTuber community because he knew a lot of VTubers who were Christians already. When I started streaming, I didn't know there was that many VTubers to begin with who were Christians. Like, and then like, what?
Oh, I was gonna say that's one of the interesting and fascinating things is there are times when someone does something and their longevity is short, but they are
Mhm,
there to be an introduction and a catalyst for others who come after them. And so the number of people that I have connected with, as I don't know how big it is compared to the person that brought me on, but it was a pastor down the road that I started watching him during COVID because he'd continuously before COVID talked about going into VR ministry and streaming in VR. And so he brought me into the space because of that. And now he's gone and he's been out
mhm.
for probably three years now. So it's like, wow, like the number of people I have connections because he introduced me, brought me in, and now he's moved on. He's doing other things and not in the Twitch space, not in VR space, not doing any of those things. And the connections that I've made, if he hadn't brought me in, those things wouldn't have happened, which are going to impact more people that I don't even know. So yeah, the person that introduces you, you have an impact on, and you have no idea how far down the road that whole impact will be as you impact other people that you may never know either.
And actually, to be honest, it's like you probably have seen this when you're interacting with others too. But I've had people say like when doing Bible studies and stuff that they've been inspired to do some themselves as well, and it's just like it's kind of a cascading effect, like you're saying. It's like, to be honest, God is good all the time. Like, if we're here to be influences for His glory, then it's like you can see it in, like, little tiny things. It's like even when, like, saying, like, someone in chat just, like, saying you like, things like something that hasn't like, your channel has inspired me to further my walk. It's like that is in itself is the reward at the end of the day is seeing others grow in Christ.
Absolutely. The like there is no level for me on like the guest I have on my podcast of, oh, you have to be a certain level in order to be on, or I'm trying to have you on so that I can elevate myself. It's I want to celebrate what God is doing in and through you. And thus that's
Mhm.
why I want you on. If if you're a big streamer, if you're a small streamer, it doesn't matter. I want to celebrate that you are being obedient to what God's called you to, and celebrate your community
Mhm.
that loves you, and be able to give a platform to that, and see what God can do out of it. Because I'm hopeful that there's somebody who's not in this space, and maybe they're not called to be in Twitch. So maybe they watch us or listen to it on Spotify, and they're just inspired to say, go in another direction. But because you're talking about VTubing and you're talking about being obedient to God, they have enough impetus from the Spirit to guide them and lead them to go do something that
Mhm.
God wants them to do.
Yep. Exactly.
Since we already touched on Reach Conference a little bit, how did you get connected and find out about Reach Conference?
I'm trying to remember that myself. It's been like a whole year. It's like I'm drawing a blank. I have no idea. I just like I think one day I was like I met someone. It's like maybe there's I want to say through some of my fellow VTuber contacts through like I think one day saw like, "Oh, what is Reach?" I think as one of my friends, and I can't remember which stream I was watching. It's like, "How do you get connected?" As like, "Oh, you just talk to so and so," and like, "Okay." And then I think I joined the server, and then I talked to Romans and from was it Lark who told you about it? Yes, I remember now. I remember now. I now remember. So, it was my C4, like, friends. Oh, they were talking about this Christian conference, like, going to Reach, and it's like, "Oh, what is Reach?" It is basically, like it's what it's trying to be is, like, the Christian from what I've heard, is, like, the Christian, like, before talk about as myself, the Christian con is supposed to be, like, in a way, trying to grow to be like a Christian Twitch, or not TwitchCon kind of thing, and it's like, "Okay, so that'd be cool. I would love to go." As, like, people, like, were, like, planning, and it's like, "Okay, I have to think about it, pray about it." I actually wasn't even planning on going originally because, like, I am a full-time streamer. A lot of things I'm just, by the grace of God, providing as I'm streaming, and it's like I'm like, "I don't think I would be able to go because I can't afford it." And then, like and then it's like, I think it was, like, before October, it's like, I decided to just, like, get my plane ticket, get a ticket from Reach, and then do a donathon, but raise the money in, like, October, like, just 1 month. Uh, I, like, joined through them. It was, like, I think it was Lark Lady Lark was one of who was talking about it, Uber Marshall, Mr. Ginger, I think those are some of the people who actually were at Reach too, and then I'm like, "Okay, join the server," and then talk to Romans. He basically shared, like, the mission of Reach, and it's, like, similar to what I was, like, doing for my channel and became a Reach.
Yeah. Well, it's
Very late, though. I wasn't on the roster for all the, like, posters and things, but I was a partner.
well, that's okay. It's not really a matter of when did you get started and all of those things.
Yeah, yeah.
It's your story is your story.
Yep.
And so, well, yeah, I was there the first year of Reach. I was connected with Romans before Reach happened, so I had all of those connections. So it was like, oh, when it started, it was for me an easy step in that direction to say, yeah, I'm down with all of this. When we started doing the Alpha course, and then we didn't do the Alpha course again after that as an intentional thing, but a
Mhm,
few people are still doing Alpha in their own communities doing those things. And
mhm,
so love hearing the connectedness because there are people that you are connected to that helped you get connected to Reach, that the only way that that was going to happen for you was that way, or the what was necessary for you was that way. For me, it was a different path. For other people who were there, it's a different path. If it's the streamer that's bringing you there, if it's you as a streamer bringing you there, there's many of those different avenues that bring us and connect us together.
ooh, young alpha. What is young alpha?
Youth alpha.
youth
So
alpha.
yeah, so it's aimed for middle school, high school age as opposed to just adults. So it
Mhm,
it in some ways the illustrations that you're talking about, life illustrations, are a little bit simpler and they're going to be more modern. And some of the other language isn't going to be as flushed out in any technical kind of aspect. But actually, I've used the Youth Alpha because I like the videos better and they were
mhm.
shorter and they were more team approach on some level. But I know they redone it, so there might be some newer ones out there I don't know either. So what was the best thing at Reach for you?
The best thing? I think a lot of people use this answer, but it was being able to get to know people, connect with people. It's like I'd say one of our like you were mentioning, like we were talking about this earlier, like behind the scenes, probably some people heard it, maybe I don't know. We were talking about we talked almost till 2 a.m. till the night. It's like different like I don't remember all the topics we talked about, but they were all like Christian based. Like
Yeah.
I think some of them were like like different ways to go about like preaching the gospel on the internet. As like I would say that's one of the like one of the most memorable times. And it's like it got me to get to know you like really well. And it's like be able to talk to see people in real life and like yeah, everyone who you talk to is like some of them might have been a little shyer than others because, like, you do like, when you're doing streaming, it's like it's a little different of a energy than just being in real life. Like me, I'm sometimes more of a listener, but I've broken out of the shell a little bit since younger me, but it's like it's I think it was the people. I think my favorite part was just getting to know the people. It's like and I'm this year, I'm not gonna miss as many of the of the conferences because our like, the problem was last year is, like, trying to balance, like, doing, like, hangouts with friends because we had plans on wanting to go do stuff and also doing stuff at the conference, where that's why this year a lot of us are planning on, like, spending a week so we can get some of the fun stuff done before the conference stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you'll definitely have to keep me in the loop of any of that stuff because I plan on being in Orlando, I think Saturday before the conference. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna be hanging out all week as well. So
Nice.
definitely would love to hang with anybody that's gonna be around for Reach conference. So
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the blogs. Thank you, Joy. I was also doing little blogs while at the conference, like,
oh,
showing people around, like,
nice.
advertising it a little bit. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it this year because I know that's one of the feedback that was going on. It's like some a lot of VTubers like their privacy,
Hmm.
so it's like there's gonna be new restrictions this year. That was one of the main talking points after the feedback. But hopefully I can still do the blog in certain areas. But yeah, but yeah, and some people got to meet like Father Evan, and he was a cool dude. New restrictions, yes, there'll be some blogging restrictions in the future
Yeah, I think
because of a
yeah. There were people
are you gonna
walking around in areas not necessarily being considered if people that were in the background wanted to be on stream or not on stream. So it's one reason why I didn't. And so I think they want to put an area that's like this room is off limits to streaming. This room expect to be on stream if you're in the room so that we can mark off those things. And it'd be also nice if there were, other labels or tags that would just say, "Hey, don't film me," so or color coordinated, so I know immediately. I don't even have to ask permission. I know that it's a no
mhm,
go. But those are all learning things that we're trying to learn. We're trying to grow. We're trying to help one another, which kind of goes back to what you're talking about with the conversation that we would have. Like, and I know I did not go to bed all week at Reach until 3 in the morning. That I think that was the earliest night because it would be like one person asked a conversation and we would or a question and we'd chat on that and somebody would think of something else and then we would connect it with that
mhm,
and we were talking streaming life, we were talking life, we were talking our faith, we were talking all of those things and it wasn't just like me as the only pastor. Pastor Dustin was also at the Airbnb with us. And then we had other, seasoned Christians there
Mm-hmm.
bringing different aspects and good questions, and then talking about what did we learn for the day from people. So it was a
Yeah.
great time. Yeah, Supersonic, who is in the chat, is also was there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, True Cross. I'm granted. You're still a reach partner, right?
Oh, I'm a Reach partner. Yes, I am. I am
Yes.
not. I could label myself as a founding streamer for Reach. I am not on the planning team or any of those things. I just was early supporter, early participant in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. We're just reach partners. The people who are in charge is Aki and Fam and Romans and I think Emil. No,
yeah, Emmy is
I
also
mean,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know if there's any others on the team. I don't know if they've
Uh,
expanded since last year.
Yeah, it depends on where you label them as being partners or they're just connected with Romans for execution of stuff of different things. But yeah, so I knew Romans before Reach started and had worked with him with some things. I'd actually stayed at Roman's house. Romans has stayed at my house, so it's kind of one of those weird kind of connections. So a lot of the game developers that were at Reach last year, Romans and I visited them at Christian Game Developers Conference and invited them to come to the conference. And he got some of them connected because of that. So just friends with Romans and part of the community and learning and growing. And the community grows faster than I can keep up with sometimes.
Yeah, I'm like same. Like even the VTuber space. It's like I thought used to know everyone, and there's like a lot of new people popping up everywhere. It's like, oh yeah, it's cool. I like, oh, it's cool. They're doing that, and it's like I'm starting to have to refresh my Rolodex. That's an old term, but
No, it's a good one though. Yeah, the I think I had the Rolodex going into November, pretty much knew everybody in the server in the community. Then there were a bunch of people that had bought tickets and showed up, and then they came to the server afterwards, and it's been growing. It's like I don't know everybody in the server. I get lost in the
hmm
conversation sometimes, but I also
yeah,
what felt privileged to be able to speak last year. I'm not planning on it this year, and I know one of the things that we want to do is have more voices. So me speaking again would not add to having more voices. So it's it was fun to have a handful of streamers be able to contribute and talk, and then have outside
hmm
experts come in and share and talk as well. So it's a great mixture of a lot of
yeah.
different levels of that. And I'd agree with you. The conversations, the relationship building, that's always number one for me at any conference.
And I'm hoping to build more and more next. Well, okay, it's not next year. It's this year.
It's this year, yeah.
I'm so used to saying next year because it's like after the conference, like next year. It's like now it's this year, and it's actually coming up pretty quickly. It's like what 5 months away,
Uh,
6 months away.
yeah, it's less than 6 technically, so it's something like
It's
5.
June
Wow.
June 1st. Yeah,
Yeah. Woo! It'll be here quick. Well,
I'll be here quick.
we'll head back to the talking about streaming, and if something comes up later, if we return to Reach conference, we can do that.
Yeah.
But I wonder, what are some of the barriers, the difficulties that you faced as a streamer and had to overcome?
That is a good question. I think right now one of the barriers I'm trying to fight with right now is scheduling.
Okay.
That's like I'm like my and like I'm trying to break into also the YouTube space. It's like it's more like trying to figure out getting my time and fighting my own like perfectionism. Basically,
Ah,
it's like I'm like right now. It's like after like everyone knows I did a 30-day nonstop marathon stream like a couple months ago, and
oh,
it's
that's
like
right. Yeah.
afterward, it's like it was great. It was exhausting, but it was fun because I enjoyed the not having a schedule during that thing because it's like I'm streaming for 12 hours. We're gonna do whatever happens. There was some consistency. I was doing a book series called the Final Quest series, and it was a prophetic accumulation of prophetic journals at a oh can't remember his name at the moment, and oh, wait a minute, here it is, by Rick Joyner, and it kinda has kind of a fantastical, like because any kind of vision or a dream people have that, like, from the Lord that you have to compare with the Bible, by the way. I will always warn this, like, when anything's prophetic, make sure it's biblically sound. I always went with scripture whenever something questionable came up to double check something he was saying. But it was a great inspiration, and I feel like a lot of us were spiritually growing during that time as, like, made me think, like, "Okay, how do I become like, how do I do the next step of being, like, a Christian content creator and preaching, like, the Bible and stuff?" Like, I'm still trying to figure it out because um, it's like just got a little bit of background. I have no, like, pastoral or biblical college background. I've been just a Christian my entire life and just learning different things as I go. So it's like, I don't have the temperament or training of a pastor. I'm just a regular dude preaching the Bible on the internet. And like the barrier I'm like trying to right now is figure out the best balance of like the gaming content and whatever else I do on stream and putting Bible in that can be more meaningful because what I used to do was like Bible every single day. Like take time to like 1.5 hours, 2 hours to do Bible every day. And finding out the specific times I know people love to do it doesn't always work with trying to schedule with collabs stuff with other people. So it's like the barrier's been figuring out where to put that time. Now I still talk about the Bible while playing games. That's will always be a thing because my channel is always Christ centered and started out Christ centered will always be Christ centered. It's just more the barriers is scheduling. And I have the feeling on my heart to do it like 3 times a week. I can have time because I'm like thing that's God's been placed in my head right now is like, how do pastors prep their sermons every Sunday and occasionally Wednesdays too if they preach on Wednesday? As like they have to have the time to read the word, God time, and study things up. And it's like doing it 5 days a week. That's not giving me time to study it up and present something that is gonna like not present something, but just be like read something that God wants me to read and put on the channel that people are struggling with. Recently, we've been going over like anxiety and attitude.
Okay.
And it's like I was like I've been doing more book studies lately, and one of the books I was reading that I've been studying recently is John Maxwell's Attitude 101. And now, some of his books don't always put scripture in it, so I'm like, I'm doing the legwork to, find scripture that backs up, like, the biblical, like, teachings he interweaves in his book, and it's kinda good. It's like it's just the barrier is also just like, "God, where do I go with this?" Because I'm, like, one guy, and sometimes I'm like, "I don't know what to do next."
Yes. Yes. Well, and the you should not necessarily feel the expectation to do the same things as a pastor because
Mhm,
I am a pastor and I'm a Twitch streamer, but
mhm.
that's a barrier for some people. And so I hope I'm not a barrier, but I know that can be. But the fact that you're not gives you an avenue to reach people that are going to be harder for me to reach,
Yeah,
regardless of personality. Just the fact that, hey, you are someone that is in the space. You are someone who understands. And yeah, you've been a Christian your whole life. So that does qualify you. In fact,
true.
I was having a conversation in regards to whether or not Christians should be sharing their faith online if they have no training. And it's like, well, if you go read the Great Commission, it essentially
True.
says while going, and I translate it that way. I know that's not usually the way that the English translates it, but taking the Hebrew or the Greek nuance of there, it's not so much as a command, it's connected to the other commands later. So it implies that you will be going. So while going, make disciples
True.
of all nations, and then dot 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 teaching them to do everything that I've commanded you, including make disciples which I just commanded you. So there's nobody
Yeah,
exempt from making disciples. It doesn't
yeah,
mean that you have to preach. That doesn't mean
True.
everybody has. There's other places that talk about not everyone should supposed to want to be an elder, a minister, those things with roles and responsibilities.
Mhm.
But to disciple people is simply to
Mhm.
point people to the word, point people to other people who share the word, and share your experience with it and share your testimony. Those are things that every Christian should be doing.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, much of the people sitting in the pews don't understand they're to do that because we've had them sitting in the pews not doing it for so long that they haven't done it their whole life. Why would they start now? They don't know how. They don't feel called.
Exactly.
They don't think they
Exactly.
should. They make
And
they make the excuses of I'm not trained.
true. And I'm and kind of backtrack a little bit, but I'm just more like when I'm saying like thinking like a pastor, it's like I am trying to be I am like a full-time streamer, and
Right.
I'm more like I need to have the discipline of one. But I do want to say the mindset of what I do is, yeah, I'm just a guy. I'm just like my whole entire philosophy that start is like as a Christian, we are like you're saying, we are just the average Joe, just talk we like pastors have their like in church, they preach the gospel and they do shepherd their flock because that's what their office hours are for too. Is like in case people come in and need help, like having a spiritual thing or a spiritual like conundrum. Twitch streamers, we have a great opportunity of we could be the like it's a common conversation I have on the channel. It's like we have like 60 like some people just pop in to check you out and you have 60 seconds to be like the only Bible someone will ever see.
Yep.
And if people just see like, I am a Christian, I'm just a regular guy like any other Christian, we're just people. And we need to show a lot of people because that's what a lot of people have. Like one of the things is like a conversation I've had is like people have had church hurt where people are like people who are non-Christians are like had Christians like scream in their face, "You're sinning, you're gonna go to hell,"
Yep.
and stuff like that, and that's not the way to do it. That's not how Jesus did it. He preached things in love and kindness and with, like, academic level of conversation with the Pharisees because he was outpacing them with their logic. So it's like we're supposed to talk to people where they're at, and I think that's why it's like I have a lot of different people pop into my stream. Like, I have furries, I have people who have been previously LGBT background just because they see me as a guy is like, I'm not judging you for your background. I'm not judging you where you are. I'm encouraging you to overcome your circumstances and, like, overcome your circumstances through God because, like, God gives us strength to overcome our difficulties to become the capable of beings he sees it inside of us. As, like, I look at that's like, yeah, that's just me. I'm just like, I look at it where you're at, not like, "But I'm this." It's like, "Yeah, but God sees you as this, as a child of God, as his child." Like, that's actually something I had to go through my spiritual thing. It's like, be reminded. My my spiritual mentor, like, reminded me, it's like, you have sonship through Christ.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm just trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and knowing the audience, as you're identifying there, and True Cross is talking about that as well, adjusting your methodology for the audience. That's really about crafting what you're doing. I think is what you're talking about, and continuing to have the line. Just to say you're a pastor doesn't mean that you're going to be effective in any church that you would go
You know?
into. You have to adapt to that setting.
Mhm.
I pastored in Texas. That's a whole lot different than pastoring in South Dakota, which I also pastored in, which is also different than pastoring in Iowa in the middle of cornfields. Well, there were a lot of cornfields in South Dakota too. They're not the same as Iowa. They don't view things the same way. They're a whole lot different culture there. And then being in my home state of Michigan, which is also different. And then I'm living in a rural community. I've lived in much bigger communities. There's so many different aspects that impact how do you communicate? What approach do you use? Where do you start the conversation? But I think it's
Mhm.
always a level that there has to be an invitation to a
Yep.
conversation. If I'm not inviting you because I'm chasing you away, how can we have a conversation? And I'll just go in a totally different direction. I'm almost at the point, I'm not quite, but I'm almost at the point where I'm going to be the old man sitting on my front porch yelling at the kids on my lawn. Okay? It's mostly the people walking their dogs that don't clean up after them. That's really where I get a little irate. But it's like, how would I ever get a conversation with you if all I do is yell at you from my porch? When are we
True.
ever going to have a conversation? When am I ever going to get to know you if all I do is chase you away? There's no room for conversation. And so we need to find a way to, I don't want to say entice, that's the wrong word, but in a way attract people into conversation with us by whatever we means we can, which is what I think Paul does when he goes to the Areopagus.
Hmm.
He is inviting people into conversation with him so that he can share his heart and his love for Jesus when he does that.
And Paul was like at the time the perfect guy God chose because he had dual citizenship.
Yeah.
As like he knew how to talk to Hebrews and he knew how to talk to Roman people. And it's like that's why it's like one of the things that is a good way to start conversations is like maybe knowing a little bit of every like different common interest. Like if you like for example, gaming, how many people like on I don't know, on the planet plays games? I don't know the statistic. I just know a lot of people do it. And that's a good gateway to like start a conversation with people. It's like talk about a game and it's like, okay, once you get to know someone, it's like, hey, what's your thoughts on like Bible or Jesus or stuff like that? It can be this conversation can start in many multitude of ways. Even just like me, I'm a natural listener. So I'm like when I'm in VCs, I'm just like I'm listening to different people so I can like learn different like ways people talk, ways like different hobbies and stuff. And it's a good way to then start being able to talk to different people. Like listening is a good gateway.
It's one of the best. And the thing is, like you were talking about, yeah, we can have things of common interest, but I can also care enough about a person to want to get to know them that when I find out that they really like something, I can ask them about it even if I don't know anything about
Hmm.
it. So if someone says, like I don't have any grandkids yet, but if I do, and one of them wants to play Minecraft, I can ask them all kinds of questions about Minecraft and never actually go play Minecraft, and I can ask them how they're doing in Minecraft, and I can ask them about what new things have they found, and I can ask them if they've got any new mods, and I can ask, like, I can continuously be curious about their life and about them and about things they enjoy without ever actually having to have to join in what they're doing. I can just let them share their joy with me, and that brings me joy.
Yeah, indeed. As like, I mean, to be honest, not knowing something is a good like you're saying, it's like, if I don't know something, like, I don't like a lot of, like, modern phrase and slangs, it's like, "What is that?" Like, "What meme is that?" It's like I mean, even when I was a kid, I was like, I didn't pay attention. I was like, I started college at a young age. I did dual credit when I was young, and I didn't focus on a lot of memes while in college because like, oh, these things are just a waste of time. And it's like now I'm in a space where it's like I need to know all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like my community knows it's like you don't know these things, do you? It's I don't follow trends. I'm more like trying to set a trend, which is Jesus and many other goofy things along the way. It's like that's just the fun of conversation, man.
Yeah, yeah. There's good conversation that's still going on in chat as well. And I knew entice was the wrong word there, but it was like I wanted to use it for just a moment because there's that level of attractiveness of it. But yeah, God is open to the conversation. He doesn't force the conversation, but allowing us to come to Him. And the way you worded that just reminded me of the woman at the well where Jesus invites her into
Mm,
conversation, and then the conversation goes and it continues to go in that direction. So
I,
great
that,
combo
that,
there in the
that
chat.
that's funny. I don't know if I was thinking this last night or while I was in the shower today, but I was thinking that very exact same, like, like encounter. And it's like, because I was like, okay, probably I'll have to talk about like what type of like how to reach people, like where they're at. And Jesus talked to her where she was at. It was at a well. We had and he talked about her past as it in a way, in a very like like mind reading way, but it was kind of cool. It's like, and then she's like, great story. And I was like, that's kind of focus as like content creators we should do is like talk to people where they're at. And in a way, okay, in a way, I also like talking about like we need to be careful as content creators as well, like of like how we portray like Bible and stuff. It's like some people have heard me rant about this. Have you heard about like the Gen Bible going around like some content creators lately who are Christian?
Sorry, you cut out there. Which Bible?
The Gen Z Bible. Have you heard of
Oh,
the Gen Z
yeah,
Bible?
yeah, I've heard of the Gen Z Bible. Most of what I've seen has been just using it in jest, but
Yeah, I've seen some content creators use it side by side while doing like Bible studies, and it's like people have heard me on my stream rant about it. I rant about it because to me scripture is sacred, and it's like if people like, and I've had conversations like, but this is a way to get people to get interested in reading the actual Bible. And it's like you don't know people very well because people like they'll latch on to the Gen Z Bible because they think that's actually an actual Bible without actual prior. That's why I'm like, it's like you have to be like be careful of how you're presenting yourself because some people will stay on a stream for 60 seconds and it's like, oh, if that's the Bible, okay, I will read that one instead of actually going to like a King James because it's not an actual like it's not an actual representation of Scripture. It's a it started out as satire, and it's
yeah.
like it's good for satire, but not good for preaching the Bible.
Well, on some level, every English translation is a translation because we're not
True.
speaking Greek and Hebrew. So
Correct.
from that standpoint, there isn't a English Bible that was given to us and that's what we have. So as language does change, we do need to think through some of those things. I've not
Mhm.
read the Gen Z Bible. I can't speak directly about
Mhm.
whether it's good or it's not. I'm going to assume from the clips that I've seen, I probably wouldn't give it a full endorsement. But on some
Yeah.
level, people will talk about the message as a bad translation. If I can't understand the Bible and the message causes me to pause and listen and pay attention and explore,
Mhm.
then the message did something good. And to the extent the
Yep.
Gen Z Bible ever does that, and yeah, it can confuse people. Any translation can confuse people.
True.
We have multiple translations that go in different directions. We have multiple Greek copies of things that sometimes don't know how we can wrestle the two things to make them go together. So
Mhm.
we already have that problem of confusing
Yeah.
people. What we want though is to leave room for the body of Christ to come together with with people
Correct.
as you're doing it. So I think one of the bigger things rather than is the Gen Z Bible good or not is don't just go do this solo. You need to be in community with people, engaging the
Mhm.
Bible in community with people,
Yeah.
sharing and talking with people about your faith and being in a
Mhm.
Christian community. So that would be the bigger thing I would think is the
Yes.
community that you're within and how you wrestle with the text together with other people.
Correct. That's what I love about like doing like Bible studies together on stream. It's like everyone can bounce off each other and have discussions and like and sometimes funny phrases. I was like, there's a common phrase on my channel whenever a streamer of mine or fellow streamer and friend, and one of the things we always say is all roads lead to Matthew because every time we read something, like we were doing a study on Proverbs, as like yeah, this is in Matthew. And then we bounce to Matthew to be like, oh yeah, this and this like correlates together. As like it's a wild ride, man. In the scripture, if like bouncing off scripture from each other, it's like it's a really great thing to be able to like read something and then be able to see it in the other part of the Bible because the Bible itself is like it confirms itself, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, and we could keep going down that direction of translations and those things,
Yeah.
and that, like I said, I haven't studied it to know whether it did really start out as satire and then the joke just took off from there, which is what I
It
understood
yeah.
it. So why would
Mhm.
you need to do the whole Bible? I don't know. I mean, the joke that I had with my buddies in seminary was the WWF Bible. It was now it's the WWE, but so Jesus lays the smackdown on Satan, like so we would have all these jokes and we would do all that stuff and we were just trying to have fun with it. We weren't going to do anything more with it than that. Like
Mhm.
that was our level of satire, our level of joking around about it to point to the power of Christ as superior to the devil and then just, working that through different
Yeah.
passages that we did, but it's funny how someone can take a kernel of something that is fun and go too far. But that's what we do all the time with lots of things. I
Mhm.
mean, that's what
Sure.
overeating is. Overeating is taking something that's good and going too far. So there's so many like binge watching is taking something that's good and doing too much. Doom scrolling is doing something that it's like everything can go too far and go in a wrong
Uh,
direction.
yeah. There is. It's just I yeah, and if you're I would say if you're strong enough in your faith, I would say it's definitely like you wanna give it a read, then yeah. But if you're like someone who's never had a Christian background, who just joined the faith, it's just like you're looking at it, maybe talk to someone who is maybe a little bit more firm in their faith, like a pastor or black cap, maybe. I don't
Sorry, I'm just catching the chat there. True Cross puts down potato chips.
Yeah, you hold on. That is one of my oldest friends from
Yep,
early
yep.
streaming, and it's like he's actually one of the guys who I started like, he's one of my friends who I started streaming, and he just hopped on for games and things. He's also a children's pastor, actually.
Oh, very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. So might actually understand the Gen Z Bible if we're to read it. So anyway, before we move
Okay.
into another direction, Samarella is here in the chat. Love to see you, Samarella, and wanted to share something. So and there's people who have. If you've listened to all the podcast episodes, you know that Samarella's been on a health journey. And so this is an update for anybody listening. So got reached out by St. Jude through your nurse, and they offered a program that supports people and families that have been through the same as me. So basically, you'll be in a group session to share your progress with where we are at first and where you are now. And we'll all with all the help and support we got, hopefully, it'll give them hope and it'll be starting the first session next week. That is super cool, Samarella. So Samarella has gone through a lot of surgeries and treatments and had a heart replacement. And so, yeah, if you're able to take your journey and where you are and give back to people at the give hope to the people and assurance to the people at the beginning of that journey, Samarella, that is really, really super cool. Which is somewhat we were talking about earlier too, of the streamers who are further down the road, giving assurance and encouragement to those people who are new in the community and bringing them along. Samarella, I am so happy to hear that and that you're going to be able to give back. I know you are going to bless a lot of people with what you've gone through and encouragement that you're going to be able to give them. And just continue to pray God's blessings over you and healing for you as well, friend.
Oh, man. That's awesome. That just brightened my day
Yeah.
hearing that.
Yeah, they're like the whole story of Samarella is fantastic. I don't want to just go through all of that again. So if she wants to share more in the chat, she's more than welcome to do that. But yeah, at
Mhm.
a year ago was given less than 6 months to live, and well, you know God has intervened in a way, and she's been able to get a heart transplant, which she was told she couldn't do surgery, and some other things like that. So it's definitely a blessing that God has poured out through this community and others in Twitch space, just loving on Sam, praying for Sam, walking alongside of her.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep you in my prayers too.
Yeah. Well, and that just kind of goes in the direction of unexpected blessings and things that happen in the community and as a streamer. So what are maybe two or three stories where you have seen something, you either experienced it yourself, it was someone in your stream that had something going on that was just unexpected and it had to be a God thing in order for it to take place?
Stretching my memory a little bit, but let's see. I think it's definitely during, like, different prayer times, like, when praying for people. I can't remember specific stories, but I do know, like, after some prayer that happened as a community, I remember, like, several different like, people were praying for stuff that God touched them in their circumstance that they were asking for help with, and they came back, like, saying, "God answered the prayer," and it's like, "Yes," and, like, praise reports and other things, and then I'm like, we're talking about just, like, messages too. It's like I've had, like one I can remember is, like I think I mentioned this before, like, I was talking about, like, seeing like, some of my friends who are, like, Fae and May Nightshade, they were, like, saying that they were encouraged to preach the Bible more on stream, and they actually invited me to stay for one of the readings after a collab we were doing, and it was like, yeah, it's definitely good. They were going more in the approach of, like, because 'cause they're family friendly, and they were going more like they were studying from a family, like, something that a family member can do or kids can listen to, and it's just like, that's just awesome. It's just like, it's awesome to see, and see, like, also God answering prayers for other fellow streamers' growth as well. Because some
Mm.
people are like, "Uh, I'm not the only one of my friend groups who are doing full-time." Like, a friend of mine, Mood Laloon, is full-time as well and trying to grow a career through Twitch, and people are blessing her all the time through Twitch donations and, like, helping her out with, mics and different things, actually, and stuff like that. It's like, it's great seeing that as a group of a community because they're a body of believers. And I always like to try to promote that as one of the things I like as streamers. Like, I'm not, I'm not. It's not just that channel. It is us together because we can't just be a streamer by ourselves. Like, we can just make content and on Twitch and nobody listens. And what's the point of Twitch? Twitch is a community.
Yeah.
Want to create content? Just like content. Go to YouTube. Because then you can just be, like, making content every day and stuff like that. My Twitch is more personal, and being able to talk to people and be like a ear to ear, it's like a blessing.
Yeah, there is definitely a wonderful aspect there of being able to be in and out. I love that whole you're invited to a collab and then it's like, "Hey, we're going to do this. Could you inspired us to do this? Hey, could you stay to help us do this? You know, we're doing a little Bible
Mhm,
study here." How there is I don't want to say there's nothing, but it is so satisfying to watch someone duplicate something they've seen you do. And even
mhm,
more when they don't copy it in the sense of, well, I'll just pick on something like you always start your stream with a 15-minute devotional, so I'm doing exactly that, a 15-minute devotional when I start my stream. No, it's hey, you inspired me by sharing scripture. I figured out a way for myself to be able to share scripture or to talk about my faith. And now I'm going to go do
mhm,
it. And I'd love to have you on to chat and do that. Like that's the thing that just is so inspirational and meaningful and fulfilling all at the same time when someone does have the Holy Spirit work in them from what you're doing to bring them to do
mhm.
something similar and bless other people.
Yeah. It it's sometimes it's just hard to make to say because like, yeah, it's just like, wow, God is awesome, and it's just it's just like no words can express sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. And
But
still having conversation about paying back versus paying forward. And I love that idea. So isn't paying back is like the thing that you say to give back to the community? I'm confused. Yeah. Well, you can give back to the community. One of the things with the idea of paying back is it goes directly to the person who impacted you in the first
mhm,
place. So if I borrowed, or if you loaned me $100 and I paid it back to you, I gave it back. But when we're talking about other things that are not monetary of value, it's harder to quantify if you've paid it back or not. And when we're talking about in Christian community, we don't need it to be given back directly to us. So, for instance, if we look at the church in Corinth is collecting an offering that's going to go to the saints who are in Jerusalem because they're in hunger, because a famine is going on, whatever the circumstance. So when the church in Jerusalem is then able to do things and bless things, they may bless a church that's struggling in another location and it doesn't ever go back directly to Corinth. So it's still giving back to the Christian community. It's still giving back to God, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean, oh, well, they gave us 50 baskets of food, so we're going to give them back 50 baskets of food as soon as we have it. It's some of that kind of a lines along those lines of you pay it forward to the next person in need, which is also paying it back. So
well, and to think about it, you're emulating Christ. Christ gave us a gift that he does not ask for anything in return, just accept him in. Just
yeah,
accept the gift.
yeah,
And it's like we should practice that always as ourselves if we are able to financially, or if we can't financially, like with our time too,
oh yeah,
giving back with our time. And Joy's reminding me of this. I see people who come here and on chat discouraged, right, anxious, they leave feeling better and encouraged. That's kind of the point, is try to encourage people too. It's like I love seeing that too. It's like someone's having a bad day and they're like, they come in having a bad day, leave having a better day.
yeah, yeah. Just trying to be an encouragement to people wherever they are. And Samarella, English is not your first language, so like I can't most of the time tell that you do such a wonderful job with your English. I understand what you mean. I rarely don't know what you're implying. I might need a little bit of clarification on things, which I need that with anybody typing in English at times
Yeah,
when I miss something. But some of it too can just be Americanized things. So you might be saying it in a way, but we might be taking it a different way. And so this is one of the things are giving grace to people and going back and forth and all of those things. That's that's one of the things that you can do here on Twitch that people don't necessarily give you grace in the comments on social media because, oh, you said that. Well, I assume you mean this. So then I'm going to attack you for saying it wrong or doing it wrong and all of those things. Nah, in our community here, we're going to take the time. We're going to engage. We're going to do all those things. You watch a lot of YouTube videos and stuff to learn it. Well, you're doing great.
that's awesome. Yeah,
I
I didn't even know English wasn't your first language until Black Cat mentioned it. I was like, yeah, you speak perfect English. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, and we're very close to and I know that you can do it, but an intentional, earbuds that are going to be translators are going to be out in the next year. I mean, I know you can
Mhm.
do Google Translate and you can use earbuds, but I'm saying it's going to just be a natural thing that you're going to speak and I'm going to hear on my earbud your language. It's so close. I know it's going to happen. Yeah, they're already working. I know, but I mean, I don't see anybody marketing the universal translator earbud. That's what I'm saying. They're going to market it that way so that I don't even have to have it connected with my phone. It can just do all the translation for you.
Exactly. I mean, that's just it. It's like there's a lot of technologies that help us streamers, and that's also circling back to the barrier thing. It's like learning all this stuff. It's like it. It's definitely a journey of learning all the tech stuff, and there might be a project I'm working on that I'm like want to like do in the future, like working on that I'm still looking for people for, but that could potentially help for like your VTubers. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff I would do, and it's a barrier, definitely. Like
Yeah.
you know, in a way, you have to be your own manager, and that's also a barrier. It's like, man, but
Well,
yeah,
yeah, going and making that decision to be a full-time content creator, streamer, yeah, you have to take it seriously. It is your job. You're doing it. If you're
hmm
going full-time, it has to be your job. It has to be viewed that way. And you have to
yeah.
manage it. So we were talking about some time management earlier. So what are some other aspects of that that you have learned over the last however many months since you decided you're going full time, you're doing all of this? What have been some of those other learning things that you've figured out that are either, well, I need to learn this, or I learned this and now I'm able to do other things?
It's kind of a combination. It's like little tricks. Like God has definitely blessed me with some people who have taught me things. I will also say Reach Conference have given me some great ideas to fix some things over like those little feedback time or feedback days on Tuesdays. It's like, I didn't even think about that because um, one of the things is like they were talking about, was it 2 months ago or a month ago about like partner pushing? I was
Right.
like they were they were, like, saying, "That's one way to kill your channel." And it's like, I know I was, like, seeing Catherine do it as, okay, I was, like, gonna try to push for partner this year because, like, it's been a year. I wanna try to make sure the next area of becoming, like, a full-time streamer, which is partner. It's like, oh, so I kinda so, like, with some, like, little tricks of, like, change that, it's like, try to go for just being more try to get more the viewer average instead of partner, but still kinda go towards partner. And then, like, tech stuff, like OBS, I've learned, like, there's a lot of little tricks you can learn, like, I learned recently you can actually make embed your scenes into, if you have a scene of, like, on one thing, you can put it onto another scene as a source.
Right.
As, like, all the tech stuff, there's still a lot I need to learn, but it's like, yeah, each little step, like, one of the things I learned that I like doing is scriptures, like, bringing up scripture, like, if I don't have a spot for it, it's like the newest spot I just learned about is ForgeBot,
Yep.
which is a great Bible spot that has a trivia function. I used to just do the trivia function. I used to do, like, a wheel of trivia where it's like I set up browser source, run the wheel into, like,
Oh,
different
yeah. Yeah.
sections.
Yep.
And it's like and, like, now it's like having a bot that kinda saves me, like, having to just take time to go look in the background, grab, like, I used to use, like, ChatGPT to, like, come up with weapons, like, save time. It's like, the little tools, like bot and, like ooh, and what I learned recently is, like, I have more mobile users, so when,
Oh,
like, funny moments happen, like, I learned a bot called, Steambot or StreamerBot
streamer bot.
that
Yeah.
I learned from May and Faye that you can do exclamation point I don't have the bot up right now, but exclamation point flip.
Yep.
And it's like, I haven't figured out all the functions because there's some things doesn't I don't know how to get to title things because it just, like, pops up clip with no custom title, so it's like, there's a few little things still have to learn. Like, it's a lot of time management
Yeah.
involved with learning
Well,
all these.
yeah, there could be
Yeah.
a default kind of, generic title that could be created as a placeholder kind of thing and could get changed later. But
Yeah.
yeah, what you reminded me of is what Jate says about get 1% better every day. There's
Mhm.
that constant learning, constant growing, working towards things, getting better, getting better, getting better, which is really, I think, important because you are giving back to your community by getting better at what you're doing. And
Yes.
they that helps you to grow. And go back to one of the first things that you mentioned about partner push not being necessarily a good thing to do? And so we got a couple of questions that were on there. Why is it not a
Yep.
good thing to do? And then is that the same as an affiliate push? It's not the same as an affiliate push. But one of the
Uh,
reasons why partner push can be negative is because you want to maintain that level of viewership that's there. And if you're doing partner push, there are people that just go around to help people get partner push and then they never come back. They just want to be there for that piece. So it doesn't necessarily hold a longevity. It doesn't. And so
mhm,
when you are partner and now your numbers drop, there's another group of people that will like not hang around. There's a couple of different negative things like that that the push for it, the trying to do it, the trying to achieve it, and then people might just leave afterwards, that
mhm,
it's better to just let the growth happen and become partner when you get to be partner. Now, I don't
mhm,
know because I don't remember I know remember the conversation, but I didn't ask the question. What if I've been close to partner and my numbers have been there for 3 months? Is it then okay to let me push for 1 month, see if we get it next month? And if not, I don't keep pushing. Is that a kind of an okay thing to do? I don't know the answer to that fully.
I don't either because a lot of the times, to be honest, viewership there's a little luck involved when it comes to viewership, but a lot of times though, this is the importance of having rel creating relationships with other streamers
Right.
because you can help each other out, and, that's why it's, like, part of being a streamer because it's like I was gonna say, if people think being a streamer is easy. There's 2 different type of streamers. There's the ones who are just the hobbyists, who are, like, just streaming, having fun, and then there's the ones who are like me, full-time streamer. There's a lot of behind the scene work involved, such as creating collabs with people, making sure you're not just having just a business relationship with people you're connecting, because I also wanna be friends with these people.
Yeah.
It's like, I want so it's like there's a little bit of a, like, conversation nuance, like, I love you as a friend, and I love hanging out with you on stream and off stream. Now, most of the time for me, I stream a lot of time, so it's like mostly has to be on stream sometimes because I stream long hours.
Okay.
What's up?
Uh, I need to take a break a second here. I'll be right back.
Okay, I will hold down the fort. But yeah, as I was saying, and yes, Rabbit Savage, a affiliate push is okay because affiliate is a achievable thing that a lot of people don't achievable. It's sometimes hard because I have friends like Colin, for example. Give Colin a follow, by the way. He is a great guy. He's funny, and he's trying to go for affiliate push. Affiliate. He's trying to get affiliate. Also, like you, I can't kind of have. Well, let me read up the chat really quick. There's a separate thing you can do exactly. 'Cause the point is, the Twitch can recommend your channel to advertise to make money because that's how that they stay in business. Most of the streamers I have seen push for partner quit quite a few push and get partner, and the viewers drop off drastically. There are also some that keep close to partner push numbers. Now that kind of is like, okay, some people who do partner pushes who have personalities people like our person shout him out is like, yeah, it's definitely a like for those who are who do partner pushes and stay partner and stay the numbers is I think that's because a lot of people like that person. Now some people they just like Black Ed was saying, drop off because they just are there to help. I was reading chat.
Yeah, appreciate that. And there was a comment in the chat too about, you want the numbers sustainable and so that Twitch can push you towards advertisers and those kinds of
Mhm,
things. And if you're pushing in a direction that says this is it, and then your numbers don't actually line up later, you can get pushed down instead of pushed up in as far as
mhm,
recommendations in Twitch. So things can backfire on you when you try to shortcut things. The same with trying to do viewer bots. Anybody that thinks those are a great thing, they're not. That you get banned, you can get kicked, you can get booted. Go read the fine print if you want to learn all the ways you can, or just
yeah.
or just do it naturally. So
Oh, speaking of fear about just to talk about our friend Pastor Houston, he got temporary banned for a second because they were detecting he had a lot of bot viewers, which now lead to all the lurking problems lately.
yeah, which you know, technically, how do you know if it's a bot or not a bot if it's just my channel watching you, which what a lot of people try to do is leave a tab up to support
Mm-hmm.
people that might not be fully active. And so those things can get, you know, identified as a
Interesting.
bot. So make sure if you are, lurkers, that you do some significant things now and again so that you don't get flagged as a bot, help the person you're
Mm-hmm.
watching out.
Yep. Exactly.
Uh, as far as if you're trying to make an affiliate push, there's other things you can do in regards to that. And one of those is Blessing Boat, which we mentioned earlier. I think we
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that earlier, which is one of the things they try to do is to introduce you, and it won't get you affiliate from the standpoint of you still have to do the work. But what Blessing Boat does is it's a once a month raid train stream intended to help introduce family friendly Christian streamers to people that don't know them. So it's, hey,
Mm-hmm.
show up once a month. We're going to introduce new people. Some people will fill in who are already partners or already affiliates, and they'll bring their audience, and then they'll get to know new streamers and go hang out and
Mm-hmm.
watch you. And if they like you after following you, they'll go start watching you, and that will help you make
Mm-hmm.
affiliate if you put the work in the month before and the month after being on Blessing Boat. You can very easily. I know a lot of people who made affiliate right afterwards. I made affiliate right afterwards. I believe the
Mm-hmm.
Church.digital channel as well made affiliate right afterwards. My Fish Pond channel made affiliate right afterwards. So I've got 3 channels that I can say, yeah, Blessing Boat helped me make affiliate. I'm not partner on any of them, and I'm also not full time as a content creator streamer. I would say I am full time digital ministry, but not full time content creator streamer. So that being a distinction there, I'm not trying to make the streaming the only thing that I do. I do too many other things. So
I'm kind of like, I'm just like praying that as this becomes like sustainable, that it takes care of my needs so I can just focus on streaming, preaching the Bible, all the stuff. So it's like, so that's like all that's what I'm just like working hard right now, trying to get everywhere.
it definitely
But
is. It definitely has to be your full time plan to do it, but
mhm,
you also need to do it for the long term and not burn yourself out.
mhm, true. I after during my break, I was like after the marathon, I was like, okay, old schedule new schedule needs to be where we work. That's why it's like for like a month after, it's like I just kind of went with the flow for a little bit just to be like testing out different things. But going back to Blessing Boat for a second, I know there are some like rabbits, like Rabbit was saying, I struggle to get viewers, but I mostly talk about the games that I'm playing, what's going on. Is there it is there like a sign up sheet that Blessing Boat does or
Yeah,
for the raid thing?
yeah, Blessing Boat. Trying to remember, it's blessingboat.com, I believe it is. Otherwise, Blessing Boat has their own Twitch channel. So Blessing
Mhm.
Boat on Twitch TV. You know what? Do I actually have? I mean, I know
Do you have to
my other channel has a shout out for them. No, I don't.
if you can find a
Or,
link, I do shout out for like the nope. Like, that's one thing I do is like anyone who pops in, I try to shout them out, which I don't have.
oh, you know what? I can shout out Blessing Boat. That's right. I should be able
Yeah,
to shout out.
yeah. Hello, frog man, long time no see. But yeah, that's actually something that's actually been a trend. I didn't start this trend. I just know other people did did it first. But like whenever you know like someone who's an actual streamer is uh, shouting them out, it's like a good way to help each other out. It's like I can't remember if it was Samson who started it. I know that's where I saw it. It's like, oh, shouting everyone out. Like, they're feel
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. Well, Luces, who's in here, shouts out everybody in my channel for the most part. But just to touch on a couple of other things too, so Blessing Boat is a raid train, intentionally trying to do that. But also don't give up the opportunities to raid other people, you know?
Mhm.
Raid other people every time you're done so you can go introduce yourself to other people. And especially when you're getting
Hmm.
started, don't just raid and run. I know I raid and run a lot, but that's because I try to stay on as long as I can, right up until my scheduled meeting time. And I raid people that I know for the most part.
Yep.
But what
No, you're
I
good, Rabbit.
what I did for a long time was raid and then hang out for an hour in the other community, so I got to know people in the chat. So after I spend time in the chat with them, they go, "Hey, let me go check out Flat Cap. Let me go see what he's up to. Let me see what he's like. I'll give him a follow. I'll go watch him." So you need to build relationships with
Yep.
the whole community of Twitch to get people to know you even when you're not on your stream, so they'll be inclined to go, I see that you're live. Let me go check you out.
Yeah. Try rating out. Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's like networking is a important way of growth.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way around it. Even if you're like trying to be in ministry, it's like you still have to network with people. It's like and try to be friends with as many as you can. I know it's like there's like I can't remember the term, but like there's like the average people you can manage like as friendships and relationships. There is a limit how many because we're only human. We can't spend 24 hours every day with everybody, but get like a good core group of streamers you stream with because a lot of people do like consistency. That's how Markiplier got bigger because of his friend groupie thing. That's like consistency people like.
Yeah. And I've shared on my stream, like, I had, you know, 8 to 10 people the first time I went live because I was known in so many communities. When
Mhm.
I told people I was gonna go live, they showed up and, they hung out, because they already knew I was gonna go live. So it helps to build relationships wherever you go. And the other thing is I built those relationships not planning to stream. I built those relationships to build relationships.
Yep,
And so I'll just say this is because I think this is a good thing to think about. You should never build a relationship so that you could get something out of it.
correct.
So, I made well, I was young and in, elementary school, but I hung out with one particular person because he had a lot of toys. And so I if I hung out with him, I got to access the brand new Commodore 64. This'll age me. He had the
Uh,
Commodore 64, and, like, nobody else in the school had Commodore 64. He had it, so I'd go over there, hang out with him, and play Commodore 64 with him when nobody else had that. So, like, if that's the only reason for the friendship, I don't need to hang out with him. If that's what initially opens up a conversation and leads to friendship, okay. But if I just kept going over to his house and the only thing I wanted was to play Commodore 64. And he's like, no, but I want to go play basketball. No, we're Commodore 64 or nothing, friend, or you're not my friend. Then we're abusing a relationship. We're taking advantage of someone. So, like I said, it can happen when you're young, naturally of, oh, I'm excited about what they have and I want to do what they have. But if the only reason I hang out with you is to do what you have, then I'm using you in some way.
I know, and it's like that's like some reasons it's kind of the opposite. Like there's also the opposite. Like you have some people who stream and you can't even stream together because like some people are console streamers or some people don't do gaming. And that's probably one of the reasons why we haven't done a collab type thing until now, you and me, Blacker, because like I have no idea what kind of like collab to do with yet because I've been wanting to do it, but it's like I do a lot of games.
Yeah.
That's my as like some people it's like Purple Prophet. I would love to hang out more with him, but he's kind of limited right now because he is only console and like
Hmm.
I'm like I play a couple things console as like there are limitations, and it's like, I want to hang out with you because I think you're really cool, and I wanna get to know you, and it's like
Well, for me, I've found out that the podcast is really the one of the best things. What I haven't figured out
mhm,
is how do I have somebody on a second time because I don't I like this is my thing. Is like I interview you, I talk about how you got started, all of those things. I haven't figured out. Maybe I haven't hit episode 100 yet, but maybe after I hit episode 100, I'll do some fun celebration thing. But I do want to figure out how to
if you're done rap
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no, I saw the comment about Marvel Rivals. No, I haven't played Marvel Rivals. Well, the thing is for me, for the most part, I've always been a solo gamer. I don't play multi-person games. So that doesn't lend itself to doing a lot of collabing if you don't play multi-person games, you know.
True.
But I have had a couple of people reach out saying, "Hang on a second. I'll bring it over later." Okay.
Actually, something I would suggest. Have you done round table with people before?
No, I haven't done roundtable.
That's actually something you could do to bring people back. Like, hey, like, house people and like bring it to like
Oh
a
yeah.
topic, like I don't know, like what is the love of Christ or something like that, and just like have people come in talk about the different
Yeah, yeah.
perspectives on the subject. That could be one way you could bring people back.
Oh, definitely. There's a way to do roundtable. I just haven't done it. I've been on other podcasts. What is it? Save Games podcast that Born Again
Mhm.
Gamer has, where we have a
Oh,
panel and he has some topics that he comes and he brings and we discuss them and talk about those. So yeah, I do like the panel discussion. I just haven't set that up. I would like to do some gaming with people. So it's a matter of
I
trying to
mean,
figure out what games would I enjoy. Actually, what this podcast was supposed to do to begin with was expose me to games. So we would chat for a couple hours and then try to play a game. Except what ended up happening is I didn't have the game. I got instructions on the game. I didn't have enough instructions. So, for instance, I was supposed to do, I don't remember which FPS. It was an FPS. And it's like, oh, well, you didn't download this so that you could actually get into a server and get invited to play with each other. No, you didn't tell me. You just gave me the link to the game. I didn't know I needed to get into a server to be able to actually play the game. How would I know that? I've never played before. So, and
if you
then
want help, I can help.
yeah, but it's like I also like I'm not I have never liked games that are first person. Like I don't. I still don't like first person even when I play. It doesn't matter what it is. I just don't like the viewpoint cuz I grew up with 8-bit, okay? That scrolled
Mhm.
sideways. Everything past
You would
that
love Terraria then.
oh well, everything past that is hard. You know? So it's too much going on. And I also I like to see myself so I know where I'm aiming and it's like
Yeah. Yeah. I
but
agree with
anyway,
that.
initially it was I'll play games on this, and then it was like this is just too difficult, too hard. I've got too many barriers. I've got better tech now, so it probably would work better now. But it's like
Mhm.
okay, that's not part of it. It's just the conversation. It's just the enjoyment. It's just the gathering together. It's just the sharing, encouraging,
Mhm.
engaging with chat. And I do have to apologize for the interruptions that we've had.
All the
My
fun.
son is trying to borrow something from me and then couldn't find it. And then I told him where it was, and then he couldn't find the attachments. And so I haven't had that on the podcast before. So I'm having my own tech issues over here in a different way. So
Well, welcome to VTuber life. This happens all the time. Or so I've had Joker leave for a second to go take out the dogs and stuff, but that's actually the advantage of having a model. People don't see the background stuff.
well, on my other channel, I have a BRB screen. I've never set one up here because I don't need it. Apparently, I need to figure out a BRB screen for if I suddenly need to leave the podcast. Like, I don't know how to figure that one out. Maybe I could have turned the camera off or something, but oh well.
Maybe like how I set mine up is like creating a little scene that can transition. I don't know. Mm.
I've got several scenes, but well, that's also where I haven't set up a hype train scene for this yet too, because we have had a few raids in the podcast. And it's like, okay, I'll just stay here with the guest, and we'll just say, "Yay, thank you everybody for coming," and I'll read off your names, and we'll have fun. But no extra scene. Maybe I need to work on that for episode 100. I'll have it ready. So,
Yeah. And Fire Cyclone's like, we love Guff.
yep, yep.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten your Steam code. But if you ever do want to do some gaming stuff in the future, let me know. It's like we can at least do like some dual like setup like let's see, set up the game first before we stream and then have some fun. It's like if you're into like some I don't know what kind of games you're into, but I have some things.
Usually RPGs is what I play.
RPG. Okay. Okay. I know a couple.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're into Star Wars.
I have not done any Star Wars RPGs, but I'm not opposed to them.
But yeah, there's one called Star Wars: The Old Republic Online. That's kind of RPG. There's story. There's like, and we play together. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, well,
uh,
I'll definitely have to try to figure that out at some point. Like I said, right now I'm just kind of thinking around that, throwing the idea out, but there's also the where does that work in my schedule? Where does that work in other people's schedules? So there's all of
there's
those
that
there's all of
challenge.
those
Yep.
challenges. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but yeah, if you ever figure that out, let me know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Well, what would be fun, just to throw this out because I'm gonna promote the guest for the podcast on Sunday, which is Bootstraps Boots. And so Campfire Gaming is a group of streamers who has figured out getting together on Sundays to do gaming together, and then they've got a group of people that do that.
mhm.
So Annika's Cakery, Dr. Level Up, and I don't know if I know everyone in the group, but I know they are also part of that as well. And so it's like, I think that would be an ideal thing is to figure out a group of 4 or 5 streamers that want to play the
Mhm.
same game, and we set a set day of the week, and we just play once a week for however many hours it is. I think that like, and I don't like Marvel Rivals, I know a little bit about it. It's like so on some level, it's not so much it has to be a game I've played. I'm open to things. It's just I'm not gonna play first person shooter once a week. That won't be a thing. That one I can tell you, I won't be part of it. I just won't enjoy it, and I'll be cannon fodder. So I guess if all you need is the person to run around, just run around and draw people out, so you know where they're firing from. I could do that, but that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I play I super variety over here. It's like, yeah, I can't just do one game at a time either. It's like I enjoy like a little bit of Fortnite. I enjoy like Marvel Rivals. I my preferences are like this is a term people what's the term? Player swap, I think is how we kinda
Oh
say it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I prefer those like Repo and Golf with Friends, Are We There Yet? Because it's like actually some of the characters in Are We There Yet have black caps. So it's like that one's like a trying to drive home from a camping trip simulator where you're working as a team and
Okay.
you're like trying to get it trying to go past different obstacles and stuff. It's a fun game. It's definitely a game to progress in than just simple first person shooter.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
and it's not that expensive either, so it's like, yeah. And it's hours of fun.
Well, yeah, there we
Hours of
go.
fun.
There we go.
Chaotic.
I wonder if golf with friends. I might. I don't know. I played
Uh,
golf on the Wii, with my kids back in the day. So maybe
you
golf
might
would be
like it.
fun. And I
And
saw
it's
I
a
I saw the question of Chrono Trigger. Oh yeah, Chrono Trigger was a good game. You know, back last century. It's a good game.
it it's definitely a good chill game because it's good, like, unless you turn on all the things like smack each other's balls across the map or something, but it is a good game. It's
Yeah.
very chill. I would say it's more chill than Super Pedal Golf, and it'll give you time to, like, have conversations, and it's very chill. Is
Yeah.
it a reoccurring game that you could play every single week? Probably not,
No,
unless
probably
you like
not.
golf.
I don't think I would do golf every week. Now, if we just gathered to do sports every week, maybe that would be the thing if we were doing a sports. But yeah, sports I'm not gonna hang on and play for a long time. And even people that do like football and they're doing a whole season and doing that and you're playing against each other could be something fun, but it still would be short term, I think. I tend to get while I might enjoy a sports game, I think they have short shelf life for me. And there's not much like you just keep doing the same plays. You play a new team, you just keep doing the same thing. You try to beat a team. It's there's not that exploration, which is probably why I like RPGs. There's exploration of the map, things to find,
Yeah.
uh, that I love doing with RPGs. So
Yeah. I mean, Subnautica 2 came out. It's an exploratory one. And multiplayer now too.
okay, okay. Well, we'll come back. We'll come back around to that perhaps. So, what are some things that you are excited about looking ahead to the rest of the year? for yourself as a streamer?
Uh, well, reach, look, reach.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. To be honest, to be honest, a lot of the times I love the surprise of what God throws in my way. It's like right now, I would say I didn't even expect this podcast till you like messaged me 2 weeks ago. It's like I can say like this was definitely going to be a highlight of the year because it's like, man, he's just like God's just providing different opportunities, and it's like I'm just here along for the ride and enjoying it. But I do look forward to seeing how the channel grows over time, seeing like how it evolves, seeing where God leads and what He wants us to do next, seeing how the community grows and where projects like I mean, there's some stuff in the background I'm like that are like behind the scenes stuff that I'm not gonna super promote, but there
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
projects I hope to get done maybe before read. And actually one of them I actually wanting to talk to you about at some point whenever your schedule frees up, like for a conversation. But yeah, it's just I'm looking forward to what happens next. I love the surprise of it all.
That is like I I love that attitude, and I think that's a good one to have. However, having been a coach, I am constantly in the goal setting atmosphere. I still love to set yearly goals, things to shoot for, things to strive for. As a coach, like if you didn't have goals, how do I help you move to where you want to
Yeah.
be in the sport? But in
Maybe
ministry,
2000.
yeah,
Oh,
in
sorry.
I was gonna say, in ministry, sometimes it's different though,
Yeah.
because my goal is going to be more around being faithful to what God has called me to do and
Mhm.
letting the outcome, show up elsewhere. So, yeah, a goal could be to be partner for the year. That'd be a good goal. But then you
Mhm.
have to break it down to what's the work you have to put in. And then if it doesn't happen,
True.
you did the work. If you want to be state champion in whatever sport it is, you have to do the work to be state
Correct.
champion. But if you don't want to be state champion, as a coach, I'm not going to try to get you to do the work because you'll resent me the entire time. You won't want me, you won't like me because I'm going to be pushing you harder than you want. So I do understand the value of just enjoying whatever today has. And there's a real uh, what am I trying to say here? Talent or value that you give to people when you're not striving towards something, but you're just always present in what's happening now and not,
Mhm.
oh, I can't wait till next week when this happens. And the person in the chat's like, well, what about me? I'm here now. I can't wait until 6 months from now when I get this. Well, what about me? I'm in the stream right now. I need you right now. So the being
Yep.
fully present is such a blessing to your community that you're able to bring, which, I can say I totally saw that when we were at Reach together. You were just being present in the conversation that's happening now and not what's tomorrow gonna bring. It's, "I'm here right now."
Yeah. And that's just important. It's like I do have goals. It's like I want like I mentioned before, making sure this like getting to a point where this is like financially stable that I don't have to worry about finances and how to like provide for like the stream cost of like overlays and that stuff because of like and stuff like that. But it's like it's like more like focusing on the present now and like patriarchy by the way is like as you're saying, it's like the present is now and it's good and like sometimes I mess up. Like stream can some chat can sometimes go super fast and I miss something and that's like being human.
Yeah.
I try my best. And
Yeah,
but yeah.
there's
So
definitely the things that go too fast, the different ways to do things, but I do think that there is something, you know, in the here's where I'm doing now. I want to go towards this, but being open to not being so blindly rigid of no, here's what I have to do. And then doing like I'm gonna say experiments like, hey, we're gonna do a month long stream. And then, you had the reruns in there, you had other stuff in there experimenting that. What are some things you learned from doing that month long stream?
don't ever do it again.
Okay. Okay.
But I will say it's like I learned, like, they gave me more freedom to try out different content. It's like it's just like experimenting. It's like it made me more mindful of like, what should I do for content next? I was
Mhm.
like, that's like one of the things I was thinking about after stream. It's like, what do I do next? Even to the point where I had a little bit of like coming back, having a little bit of like, am I going to perform the same way I did on the 30 days? Because that was a different kind of energy I had to do compared to my normal everyday energy.
Yeah.
As like, it definitely stretched me and made me have to think, what do I need to do to improve moving forward? And that's where I was like thinking to things like talking earlier, like about thinking like a pastor, what do they do to prep for their sermon? What do they do to make sure that they are healthy, balanced, and as like I'm like, how do pastors do this? How do other streamers that I see every single day doing this kind of thing? And it's like because they make sure they're behind the scenes that they're balancing out their lives with everything and prepping in advance for like keep- with like keeping up with studying not only for their own personal devotion, but also like stuff they want to on stream. And that's kind of where my mindset developed after that. And it's like the next steps are probably after that development is like, how do we improve next on streaming? Like some of the things I'm looking at is overlays after I think, let's see, I think it was, Adorable Will when he was talking about overlays and stuff. It's like, okay, how do I improve? It's just a lot of technical. It's just like, mm, like I've been experimenting with overlays. Like I've seen like face cam streamers, like you guys have like a little box in spots, and I'm like looking at when I'm doing like shorts and things, trying to, I'm like, I'm I'm trying to break into the YouTube thing. I'm just trying to figure out my editing style right now, and it's like I'm like looking at the fine little details, and it's like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
when I see people who have little boxes, they can do the whole vertical thing easier for stream, and I'm like face cameras do, where they put their vertical face on the top of the box and the screen on the bottom. As like I'm looking at past streams of where my clips are, and it's like mine are not easy to do that based off of old overlays.
Well, you mentioned that, and for a while, I had totally rearranged, my setup so that the very center was, I can't remember, it was, yeah, me on top and scripture down below, so that all I had to do was go clip, and when I'm reading the scripture, boom, it was ready to go into that. So it didn't make the best layout entirely for the full screen on Twitch. I mean, I had my chat on one side, had the Bible below, and then some the footnotes and stuff on the side. So it was all there, but it's like, yeah, you keep experimenting, you keep moving. I love the it's not settled, and every time you try something, it's not pass or fail, it's learn. So
Yep.
you learn something good or you learn something not to do. Either way, you're learning. And so setting that I'm going to do this for 30 days and we're going to learn something, now you
Yeah.
can take what you learn from there, and maybe it is, you know what? I'm never going to do a 30-day again, but maybe I'll do a week again because I'll have more control. I can do some more experimenting. I can do other things. So you can still come back and learn from what was done there and apply it in other ways.
Yeah.
I've experimented with trying to be more of a gaming streamer and realize I am much better having a conversation or reading chat when I'm reading or having a conversation than playing a game with a controller in my hand. The controller in my
Mhm.
hand, I pay attention to very little except what's on the screen. And
I
so
know.
it's easy to get distracted. So it's like, wow, there's a whole different skill level I don't have that I will have to learn if at some point I need to be or want to be more of a gaming streamer.
Well, there are games that are like I've learned too as being a gaming streamer is like there's certain games that are easier to have a conversation with, like Minecraft, for example. You're just building like object mining and stuff like that. That's a good stream to do for like conversation. Games like Super Battle Golf, which requires a lot of your focus because you're trying to get to the end of the game quicker than your teammate or than your fellow players
Okay,
is
yeah,
it takes a lot of focus and it's like it's harder to watch. So it's like that's more of a people will be more entertained by the goofy antics that are happening instead of the deep conversation. So it's like it's more game dependent than
true.
skill.
I still think there's some skill there too. But you're right. Different games are going to lend themselves to how intense you need to be. And like, I love turn-based RPGs. So I could just stop in between turns and have a conversation
Hmm.
and I don't have to stress over anything and mashing buttons. I do also play Assassin's Creed. And so, there I just run away and hide if I need to. It's all good. Nobody's coming after me. If I do, I just respawn. No big deal.
Yeah.
So, it's just it's still in your attitude of how you do things. So
Yeah, and I wanted to go back when you were talking about it's constantly learning. That's actually something we were reading in the book series I was going through that month was
cool.
the guy was bringing up that some of the, like it was imagery of visions and dreams, like some people were one of the examples was people were having like full armor got this mountain that was like built that has like several layers of different layers of and they were coming down, all wrapped in the armor of God. And they were walking out, and he was using it as it was an object lesson of because he also had that armor, but he was cloaked in a cloak of humility that was covering the shiny things and covering the back. And the men who were walking down that mountain got ambushed by pride because they were not put because like old Roman armor, they don't have a back protection.
Mhm.
So they were ambushed by pride, and he was saying they were getting hit by pride and they were slowly stripping off their armor that like, "I can do this on my own, I don't need the armor," because they were hit with self-righteousness or, "I am a Christian who has done it for years, I have nothing left to learn." And the object of that lesson was we need to be a to be I guess this again later in one of the third books was we are constantly having to have a spirit. Just because we may be like a pastor or someone who's been book learned in college, seminary, the guy who's been Christian for a long time. We are still constantly told to learn all the time. And so it's like, you never stop learning. I think you out of school, you're not done learning. You still keep learning every single day because God is still teaching you every single thing all the time. And that's like, so it's like, it was a good reminder of have a teachable spirit. Like, if you don't have a teachable spirit, you're not going to survive in anything you do.
Yeah, that's just so true. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the church as a whole, depending, it doesn't necessarily matter denomination, have the idea of just like high school, you go to school, you learn everything, you've learned everything you need to, and now you're set for life. And they take that same mentality with their faith. I did Sunday school, I did that thing. I just sit in church to worship. I don't need to learn anything. I already know all the answers. You ask me the biblical question or the Christian question, I have the answer. I know it. The Israel is called the one who wrestles with God. The text of the Bible is supposed to be wrestled with. There are things that are at the surface level, there are things that are at a deeper level, and then there are things at a
Hmm.
at a hidden level. And I love what one of my seminary professors said because he had an old Bible that was on his desk, all wrinkled and crinkled, and marks all over it. And students wanted him to get a new Bible. Well, we'll get a new Bible, and he goes, "I haven't learned everything in this one yet." It was like, wow, like you have been here for 40 years teaching students, and you're telling me you haven't learned everything in there yet. I mean, like just an amazing attitude. He also wrote a book this thick on the book of Ephesians. That's his commentary on the book of Ephesians, like 600 pages or something like that on the book of Ephesians, and it took him 35 years to write it. Like
Uh,
he has forgotten more on the book of Ephesians than I will ever know. I mean, like like there are people that know, and yet there are people sitting in the pews that think that they know everything and they have nothing to learn.
yeah. I mean, they're just at that they just need or that's where you just pray for that person and then like
Yeah.
God has to lead them towards like, hey, you have more to learn. Go, read.
Hmm. Well, and you know, Jesus warns against the people who are prideful a lot. You know, when you go to the party, don't take the seat of honor because somebody more important than you might come, and you'll have to get moved to the lower seat. And so sit in the lower seat, and then maybe the guest will move you to a high, or the host will move you to a higher seat. I just really appreciate that imagery there and have
Mhm,
always tried to strive in that direction of never presume I'm the most important person here, that I need to have the upfront parking, or I need to have my name on something, or I need to sit next to the person that is the host of the party. Now, at times I might only know, like being a pastor and getting invited to do a wedding, I may only know the bride and groom. Okay. So that happens from time to time. And so there I kind of like, hey, where am I supposed to be? You know, kind of an aspect because I don't know where to sit. And other times it's like, all right, just find somebody that looks friendly and have a seat there.
yeah, indeed. Oop, I love that Bible thought. So good.
Yeah,
Yeah, welcome in, Tony.
I need to get one on my side. I don't have one.
I highly recommend Forge Bible Bot. It
Yeah.
has so many good features.
Oh yeah, I have it on my other channel. I just haven't added it on this channel. So,
Also, yes, exercise. I will remind you, exercise routines will be done after the podcast. I'm gonna be like 1, 2, 3. We're having conversation.
well, you know, there's all kinds of different things that are like this is one of the fun things. Like there's multiple conversations going on at once. We're having a conversation,
Mhm,
other people are having multiple side conversations that are happening in chat. It's just one of those things like if you're watching this later, you weren't here for live, you miss a lot of things. If you weren't here for this live, you're watching it later. I'm not posting any of the chat, so you totally miss that. And if you've never been in a live community that knows how to engage in conversation and chat, you need to
mhm.
experience that because just because something is live, like live on YouTube doesn't have the same community and chat as a Twitch stream does. And so
It doesn't.
there's just something about the community and the expectation that's just wonderful. So if you're one of those people that just listens to this on Spotify or YouTube or Apple, come over sometime and check out the podcast live. Would love to have you come and just see what it's like.
It is good. I mean, that's the whole point of doing live podcast, anything live. It's like it gives that just extra layer of just being in a community. It's just like you jump in, say hi, you see what this person's doing. Some live Twitch streams have like live VODs playing, which sometimes it's like, okay, what's the point of this? But it's like I get it. It's like it's a way of like letting people recap. As
Yeah.
like I mean I did it during my marathon. I did it.
Right. But there's something different about identifying you're doing a replay, you're doing some highlights of things, you're trying to do
Mhm,
a marathon of
mhm,
something that's different than what you can do is just, well, I'll daily do a rerun and do
mhm.
because yeah, Twitch is not designed for the bulk of people coming to watch reruns. That's just not going to
Oh,
be an expectation. But you're doing
it was
experiments
a
on
nightmare.
something, you're doing a celebration of something. Because I've seen that
Yeah.
before where people will, you know, be doing a marathon for a streamiversary or whatever else and unended and they're like, I gotta go do something to take care of myself. So the stream will stay on and we're gonna go play a best of show for an hour and I'll be back, you know, something like that. So
Yeah. It's like, yeah, the nightmare was it finding out when I was first setting that whole thing up was Twitch didn't have the replay button anymore, so I had to, like, at the time, I was having limited hard drive space. So I had to, like, download the VOD, then put it in a media for the replay, and then, like, transfer it over transfer some space over to something else, and it's like, hey, like, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. Oh, but it
uh,
was good.
there can be those things, but you know, I've also watched the streamers who will do that. Well, I'm staying live until the stream is over and they do sleeping stream, and there's like, no, that's not something I'm ever going to be doing is a sleeping stream. I'm not doing just sleeping. Who knows? I mean, I like my wife, my children tell me, that I talk in my sleep, that I growl in my sleep. When I was a kid, I slept walk. Like I don't need to have that on stream. I don't need anybody clipping that. That's not going to be fun for me. So we're gonna have no just sleeping streams. That won't happen.
I mean, it's kind of hard to do that as a technically I'm considered a PNG tuber. It's kind of hard to do that when you're like a PNG compared to a live 2D, which at some point I'm looking forward to having that project be done in the future as a live
Ah,
2D,
actually,
which
maybe
is
maybe that wouldn't be hard. You just have to have one that's laying down, and then have the little Z's coming out. So as you're snoring, it could have the Z's
oh,
in a
I
tune with it.
actually, that when I was, doing the sleep stream, I had a little icon, like a character version of me in a bed with little Z's coming out of it. I was like, I thought of it, it's like, "Oh, this will" of course, it was gen I did have an AI gen because it's kinda hard to do something quick on stream, trying to set something up because, like, I was like, "How am I gonna let people know this on the day I was streaming?" And it's like, "Oh, boom, character, done." That's kinda cool. That's fun. It's cute.
Oh, definitely. Being creative
Uh,
is a fun thing to do, and that's and being uniquely who you are, bringing all of that to the stream. I think this is just rather than everybody thinking they have to do the same thing, the freedom in Twitch to do what you want to bring is just so I think amazing because I would have never thought
mhm.
of VTubers, PNG tubers, any of those kinds of things. And then I tend to go towards the streams that are not the mainstream as well, like the baking a cake stream, the doing art stream, doing music streams. Like, although I think music is a growing category that's getting pretty big, but
I think art is more-ish mainstream-ish ish. You get, like, Cranberry and Ari and some of the other people who are doing art.
yeah, you can get some big streamers in there for sure. But I'm just saying, for the bulk of what Twitch is gaming. That's what I mean by the main page, the main like the bulk of viewers on Twitch are there to watch games. So
Which is actually in a way, look at that, a raid.
whoa, whoa, whoa! I got a raid coming in. Welcome in, Raiders. David's Daily Show 1. I don't know if I know David's Daily Show. Welcome in. Glad to have you here.
Feels like I'm following them, make oh,
Remind Flatcap to do a sleeping stream. Not happening, Luces. You can remind me I need to get a raid, overlay and all of that for the stream, but no, no, I don't. I'm not doing
move.
any sleeping streams.
My streamer friend and mod is yelling at me to let her do her job.
David's Daily Show. You're a friend of Pasta North. Okay. Wanted to stop by and show the love. David's Daily Show. Appreciate that very much. Glad to have you here. And thank you for trusting us with your community. And definitely tell Pasta North that we send him our love the next time you see him. So glad to have you here. Since your Raiders are coming in, those who do not know me, I am Flatcap Dapper Pastor. I do have my own channel, but here on the Church Digital, I have a podcast, Control Alt Redeem, where we are working to reset the culture and redeem the space. And so I bring on friends that I know in the community who are Twitch streamers for the most part, but other people who are trying to make digital spaces places where the body of Christ is showing up and bringing the good news of Jesus there. So I've got Zaphenath who's with me. Zaphenath, you want to just say hello to everybody coming in with a raid?
Hello, welcome in, Raiders. I'm Zaphenath, or I go by Zaph, and sometimes it's hard to pronounce. I am a cosmic green being, VTuber who loves playing games and talking about Bible and having everything Christ-centered and creating a welcoming community.
Yeah, and
We're actually talking about that right now.
yeah,
Oh,
we're
in
talking
several
about making the welcoming community and how do we do that? And
yeah.
and what's interesting though is as you do that, you can't necessarily duplicate the same community in different spaces, So the community I have here in the Church Digital is different than the community I have in my own channel for Flat Cap Dapper Pastor. And now there can
Mhm.
be overlap of people within there, but it still has its own flavor, its own
Mhm.
uniqueness, its own vibe to it. And just to copy and make hype things over here doesn't make it work. And my fish channel is a chill vibe over there, and so that doesn't work there either. So, but so glad to have you come in and join us. And we do engage the chat a little bit and have tried to do that, even if we're not answering you live and talking. We are often chatting in the chat by typing so that you can see that we're acknowledging and see what you got going on. So appreciate you and everybody coming over with the raid.
I'm starting to blush over your mood. Stop. Stop it. Wait, stop it.
Uh,
Love you all too. You're awesome too. I
yeah.
want to say that.
Yeah, yeah, Moon, we love Zaph. Absolutely, absolutely. Is there anything that you just like to share with people who are coming in or people who've been here the whole time? It's just like, here's something that you just think is valuable for everybody to know about being a Twitch content creator.
That's a loaded one. I don't know. It depends on the day. I was like, one day I'm like talking about like it's not like I had this on Saturday. I was like talking about like me and my friends Nine Arts and Sweeps. We do a game called Voodoo Fishing, where it's just like it's kind of a spooky, boggy type area where there's like some monsters in the waters, and you're just fishing for fish. And we were like talking about the like what is like the stream, and it's like one person's perspective, like Nine Arts, he's just doing this for fun. It's like he, it's like it's easy streaming, and I'm like I'm over here being full time, and we've touched about this a little bit earlier, but
Yeah.
like it, there's like building relationships, making sure that you're building relationships, collabing with people, but also in a way trying to make sure it doesn't feel like, oh, it's just work, but just like a friendship we're trying to develop, even if you stream one time, but still are friends after. It's like, or even like sometimes it's like, I'm, other times I'm just talking about like the Bible too. It's like, this is what I'm feeling like right now. And I feel like sharing the scripture I was reading, my own personal devotions, or it depends, man. That's a very, like, subjective question. Like, it depends on the day. There's, like, some days where we're just talking about okay, I feel like rephrase the question again? It's
Oh, just anything you wanted to share. That's all.
yeah.
So, you know, there's
Yeah,
no
it's just
there's no wrong answer.
I was like, I wanted to hear the phrasing again because, like, I don't wanna answer something that wasn't needed to be answered, but yeah, it depends on the day. There's, like, one day I'm talking about streaming, the other day I'm talking about something I learned in scripture, another day it's like I'm, like, popping up a video I wanna share with people that was talking about, like, a person that I was reading one of their books about. Actually, I was talking about, uh, talking about, a post someone posted on my Twitter post to me,
Mm.
saying, "Oh, yeah, we're going live reading John Maxwell's book, Attitude 101," and they were showing me a video of, like of a of, like of something he said on in, like, a conference, like, thanking someone who, at the moment, was having a bad reputation, but it's like, just because he's thanking someone for something that inspired him in his like, writing or, like, something that helped him with teaching better, it's like, doesn't mean that person's teaching
Right.
is credited. It's just someone messed up. We're all human. So it's like, yeah, whatever the day may bring. Like, today, I might be sharing something with the podcast, the next day, something else.
Yeah, I think that is valuable to make that realization that not every day is the same. It's actually one of the things I
Mhm.
really, really like about being a pastor is not every day is the same. You know, if I worked in a factory or in a restaurant, pretty much there's a, I know what's going to happen today. There's orders going to come in, either orders of something I have to make and parts or restaurant food that I have to make and produce and put out. And it's like, man, that just seems like monotony. But having conversations with people, seeing where things are going, finding out what's going on, meeting new people that show up, Like
Mhm.
there's so much variety in that that allows for growth, it allows for engagement, allows for excitement, allows for discovery. It's, it's a fun thing to be able to be a part of doing those things. And yeah, you don't know one day to the next. Well, that's it's kind of how a lot of life is. You don't know from one day to the next.
I think sometimes the struggle is trying to like everyone has this. It's like a pause of like when chat is like not as active and it's like, what do I what do I say next? Because there's times where it's like I have that like it's like, hmm, where do we go from here? My brain just dull. As like I've learned something. It's like sometimes what's helpful is to make sure you're up to date with a lot of different information instead of just conversation that people brings up. It's like, yeah, you have to do it even for streams, like some research for yourself because that's why I've been like some little tricks I've been learning lately is like look at YouTube or Twitter for a minute and like if there's something interesting on Twitter that pops up, it's like that pops up. It's like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Like
Yeah.
the other day when I was looking at Twitter, I didn't use like they have these all these 30 million different made up holidays now, and it's like I was looking at Twitter and someone was doing like, what's your favorite goth character for World Goth Day, and it's like oh, that's a conversation, and also gave me an idea to turn my model into or give my guy a little bit of a goth
There you go.
aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I was like,
You say that, that's funny because back in the day when my kids were younger, we would take and make a calendar for our parents. And
"Mhm,
so each month we would put photos in there of the kids, and then rather than put the kids' birthdays on the calendar or to put holidays on the calendar, we would go and look for some really obscure holidays to celebrate that nobody ever heard of, and we would put those on the calendar, just random dates. Like we wouldn't say, oh, there's one every week. We just try to find 3 or 4 for every month, spread them around, and make sure next year we pick new ones. And so we were kind of teaching all of those weird, obscure holidays that were why do we need to celebrate this? But we're going to.
gonna try something real quick, hopefully it doesn't break." So, this was talking, like, showed up, like, I have wolf horns here, dude, that's why I used to use that all the time, like, I could shift shape in a different because that's part of my VTuber lore, like, I'm the green wolf, but if you know what the Sandman comics, like, Morpheus and stuff like that, it's like green being able to shift shape and stuff, and it's like, instead it's like, you go to goth, and it's like, yeah, this is what the goth thing I put on during that day. And I was like,
That
"Kinda
doesn't look
cool."
bad. It doesn't look
Yeah.
bad. It's not
Uh,
not the same as the the gold rimmed suit there, but not
no, it's not.
yeah.
Yeah, there's, like, 30 million other forms I have too. It's like it but that's the whole point. Like, that's kind of, like, what helped being a, VTuber with the lore I am still developing. I haven't wrote it down. I have it all in my head, but, like, it's like one of my things is turning into different things. Like, I had people, like, redeem, like, turn me into a frog. I turned into a frog. It's like this one was like,
Oh
Moon
wow.
made it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
and it's like
that's definitely different than the other ones, that's for sure.
it is. So it's like, yeah, it's like it's funny. Like, yeah, there are some forms people don't like, but
Okay.
chair I have a chair form. Someone mentioned like something talked about like, some people do like a chair stream and it's like, "Oh, that's funny."
Yeah, you could, like when your BRB screen, you could just put the chair in there.
I know, right? I was like, and that's just the helpfulness of like stuff like ChatGPT and stuff. It's like I can just throw my image in there and they make like a version of it because this happened on stream, and it's like, I can't go talk to an artist and be like, "Hey, can you get this done in 2 minutes?" No, they can't do that. Maybe 10, 30. That's like I was like, for something that's, like, quick like a gag and, like, not having to like, just
Oh
for
yeah.
quick fun, ChatGPT is helpful.
Yeah. Well, that
I prefer my more complicated model where I have more control, but
mhm. Oh, that
but
makes
for quick.
if the more time and energy you put to creating something, the more value it has. That makes total
Mm-hmm.
sense. The same way that you're talking about preparation for things of, hey, let me just go see if there's something on Twitch versus, hey, I'm going to spend hours sorting through stuff and then bring the best of what I found to have conversations. Totally different vibe and totally different ability to
Mm-hmm.
do things. Both have their place. The same as, hey, let me prepare, a sermon, spend 20 hours working on this, and then we can have conversations afterwards versus, hey, let me read the Bible and let's have a conversation. They both bring different things. They both engage in
Mm-hmm.
different ways, and they both add value to people. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
well, cool. Well, from our conversation, you're going to be staying on and still streaming a little bit longer.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Yep, I need to be heading out here, so I will raid out to you and bring everybody here over to your community, and then you can raid out later to wherever you go. So
Whoever that may be.
yeah, thank you, everybody, for
Yeah.
being here. Such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Yeah, we do need to like. Here's one of the things I know so many people, and you say, "Well, I'm busy." Like, dude, just send me a message. I'm not hard to get on the calendar, but I'm always busy. So it means if you get on the calendar, you're on my calendar. If you don't get on my calendar, somebody else does. That's just how I am. So I
Yeah.
I will always be busy, but I always have time. It's kind of both and.
Okay.
So
I'll follow up with you later then, see what for that one thing I want to talk to you about, and
yeah,
maybe set up something more in the future.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what I
Mhm.
like I said, I'm open to figuring out the endeavor that is 3 to 6 months down the road of, hey, how does this podcast evolve? How do I branch out and do
Mhm.
collaborations in a different way that might be a different podcast than this one?
Mhm.
So this one can stay what I've created it to be, which I love, and but still want to be on that growing edge and learning and growing and being more
Yep.
than I was last year, which I here's the other fun thing. Those that don't know, so this podcast will come out in about a month. Actually, it might be the last week of the month on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube. However, season one is already on YouTube, but it's not on Spotify and it's not on Apple. So I just spent probably about 3 hours today going and creating clips from the two podcasts going out from season one and season two this week. And it's like, oh my
Mhm.
goodness, that was so long ago. I had forgotten that great conversation I had. So it is so fun to go back and watch the old podcast and see the clips and get ready to share those. So I'll be doing that in a month from now. Listen to this one again and getting ready to post podcasts out there for everybody or the clips to everyone to enjoy. And it's been a
Yeah,
privilege. Your community certainly did a lot of loving on you and me to make this a fun time. So appreciate your
it was.
community. Thank you for
Um,
sharing them with me.
I'll also say if you have any links you want to post in the side chat so people can go to Spotify, the Apple, the YouTube to see previous past podcasts. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, go check if you guys enjoyed the podcast, enjoy Black, yeah, go check out his links. Give him a follow on the church digital and even his personal channel too.
One last thing to plug here. So those of you who are digital content creators, are in digital spaces, are in gaming, the Church Digital has done digital conferences. And we had one that was supposed to be planned for back in April. However, we were not able to do that, pull it off. Our founder had heart problems, was sick for several
Mm,
months, and so we just didn't do it. However, it got promoted that we were doing a gaming conference because it would have been one of the tracks that we were doing. We are doing a gaming conference. And so all of a sudden we had a bunch of people join the Discord server who were looking for the conference. And I felt like we need to do something for them. So on June 25 in the Church Digital's Discord, we are going to be doing a gaming conference. So we're going to have 3 different speakers. I'm still working on getting that all solidified of who they are. I've got 2 of them nailed down, but we're going to be talking about uh, gaming as parables. So if you like taking and looking at content and say, boy, this sounds like a story that teaches a lesson, we were going to talk about how do we do that? How do we take content that is not necessarily biblical, but be able to give and pull out themes from it? So that will be June 25. I don't know if it's going to be noon or 1 o'clock Eastern. There'll be one topic. Digital ethics is going to be another topic, and then theology of fun. So playing games is one of the things God created for us to have enjoyment and have fun. And so we're going to talk about that. So those will be the three different aspects of the teaching that'll go on. We'll have Q&A, we'll have hanging out. So it'll be, potentially 4 hours, and then we'll have hangout afterwards until everybody decides it's time to leave. So if you want to join that, join the Discord. I'll get more info out once I have more info of if you want to sign up. I don't know if we're doing a sign up. I don't care. Just show up in the Discord server, hang out. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah, send me some of the promos too, and I'll open them on server.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just starting to put out the promo stuff this week. So,
Cool. Okie dokie.
all right. That's all I've got. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to
Thanks.
go ahead and run my credits, and we will raid over to you.
Cool.
What day of the week?
Yay.
It's a Thursday. It's a Thursday. So,
Yeah.
and that time frame is picked with a little flexibility to try to get everybody in the US to be awake, and Europe
Mhm.
and Africa. Sorry, those in the rest of the world, we'll try something later, but since half of those people that were coming in from Europe and a European conference, I wanted to make sure it was viable for them to be able to participate. So that's all
Cool.
I got, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.